But one thing that I see a lot of, and I figured at least like you could give your response to this, there's a ton of people who I think generally support what you guys did and everything that we're saying here. And they are more on the pro team in Benghazi side, I guess, if you could call that a side. But a lot of them are convinced, and I saw just a ton of these responses, Trey Gowdy didn't do enough. If Trey Gowdy did his job, people would have been held responsible. I mean, what's your response to those people, Sarah?
It's actually a really good comment because one of the reasons I went on the Benghazi committee is I was hoping it would do oversight over to something that would do the attackers, right? So when I first joined, I did ask Trey, I said, Trey, the one thing I'm most interested in is going after the attackers. I don't think the government has done a good job. But he basically said, that's actually not in our purview. Like, here's the things we're focusing on. Here's our oversight bounds. We had a big wide open, right? Like it was a select committee. They could investigate most things, but it wasn't like, it's not like we had the team that would investigate the attackers, if that makes sense. We didn't have the staff. I was the only Libya expert. One guy did work. He was working in another intelligence agency when it happened, and that's it. So we didn't have, he probably made the right decision. We didn't have the staff to do it, and it's not Congress's job anyway. It's an intelligence agency's job, right? It should be CIA, it should be FBI, it should be NSA.
Yeah.
So as I said last time, Congress can only do so much. For all these people who think like Trey was gonna like lock somebody up, I mean, that's delusional. It's just Congress doesn't do that. I know they're doing it now. And like, where'd they get this magical power? But back then they were even to bring someone in, they threaten you with a subpoena, but then you do it so you don't like get any trouble. It's kind of this, I joke with people, they're like, why did the committee go on so long? So we all thought the committee was going to end like 6-7 months earlier. And so we all lined up our next jobs. And the problem was DOD wasn't responding to Congress because it's like, they don't take Congress serious, a lot of these organizations, right? So they just were ignoring all of our responses. And finally, our staff director is like, no, we did have a DOD guy too on our committee who was helping, I think, DOD. He's kind of the guy that basically said Fort Hood wasn't a terrorist attack. So, he was already in some weird camp. And I asked him why did you do that? That makes no sense. Like all those people lost those benefits. I know they reversed it since. And he's like, oh, that was the easiest way to do it. I was like, what? But anyway, so I think he was kind of helping the DOD obstruct us, but he moved on to another job because like I said, we all thought it was leaving. And then our staff director was like, we're staying, we're getting the DOD stuff. And that's why our DOD section is actually so good. We continued the committee just to do the DOD section. And I actually think it came out pretty great in the report. I really think, then it's up to DOD, right, to fix their crap. They didn't, right? But if they're not going to read the report and take it serious, I said this the other day, Congress can say, hey, here's what we investigated, here's the problems, but then those organizations have to then go fix themselves. Or Congress can say, we're going to pull funds from you if you don't fix yourself, right? But you know how that's difficult too. You're going to pull funds from our troops and the DOD and the intel community. It's a very difficult system if you say, Congress needs to lead in the fix. Like these organizations and the people in these organizations need to lead in the fix.